refer to subparagraph A with that third state. So, to try to explain this. If we try to present the most favored nation treatment in the field of international investment, okay? So I told you last Thursday that we have some bilateral investment treaties, okay? And if we take the example of the bilateral investment treaty between Cambodia and China, People's Republic of China, this treaty, under this treaty, Cambodia has to grant to Chinese investors the benefit of a specific treatment, which is the most favored nation treatment, and reciprocally, Cambodian investors in the territory of the People's Republic of China show benefit from the most favored nation treatment. It means that they must have the benefit of the best treatment received by any foreign investor in China. Okay? But of course the question is, how do we compare investors? It means if you say that there is this example. If we have this situation. So if we have this situation, let's say that we apply the bilateral investment treaty between Cambodia and China. Okay? And in that treaty, there is the most favored nation treatment. It means that, well, let's say, like the Chinese investor in Cambodia, it's in the banking sector. Okay, so the Chinese bank is opening a branch, a Cambodian branch in Cambodia. Okay, Chinese investor in Cambodia. Because of this, the most favored nation treatment, the Chinese investor has the right to claim the benefits of the most favorable treatment Cambodia grants to any other foreign investor. But let's say that the Chinese investor says that, well, there is a French investor in Cambodia who receives a better treatment than the one granted to China. Okay? If we apply the most favored nation treatment, it means that this treatment granted to a French investor has to be extended to the benefit of the Chinese investor. But this is true only if the French investor has its activity in the same sector. Okay? It means that if it's not the case, and we'll see that sometimes it's more difficult than this, but if the French investor has its activity activity in Cambodia in the sector of insurance, of course, you can discriminate between banking investment and insurance investment. Okay? So what you have to grant is, of course, the most favorable treatment that you grant to comparable investors. Okay? Investors that you can compare to the Chinese investor here. Okay? So if the investment is not in the same sector here, it's bank and insurance, Cambodia does not have to grant or to give to the Chinese investor the same advantages that Cambodia is giving to the French investor, because they do not operate in the same field, they do not operate in the same sector. Okay? But if there is a competition between the Chinese investor and the French investor, then if they operate both in the same sector, so in the banking sector and in the banking sector then there must be an equality of treatment between the Chinese investor and the French investor because of the most favored nation treatment incorporated into or included in the bilateral investment treaty between Cambodia and the People's Republic of China. Okay? Okay. Sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes, even when two foreign investors operate in the same sector, it's not enough to benefit from the most favored nation treatment. And we can here see, or take a few minutes to explain the René Lévy case, which does not refer to the most favored nation treatment, but to the national treatment. But the question is exactly the same. There are many arbitrations, many investment arbitrations, dealing with the national treatment, but not many, almost none, dealing with the most favored nation treatment. Can you understand or try to explain why there are many litigations regarding the national treatment and very few cases regarding the most favored nation treatment? To sum up that. National treatment, it means that the foreign investor has to be treated like a national investor. Okay? So that's the national treatment. And the most favored nation treatment means that foreign investor has to be treated like another foreign investor. Okay? And the disputes regarding the international law of investment concerned most of the time is national treatment, but not the most favored nation treatment. Can you understand why it is the case? Why we have many cases implying the national treatment and very few cases regarding the most favored nation treatment. Why or what does the national treatment imply for a state, and what does the most favored nation treatment imply for a state? Well, even if you know nothing about the law of investment, even if you know nothing on business law, even if you know nothing on the environment of international investments, you could understand or even try to explain why we have many cases involving the national treatment and quite or almost no case regarding the most favored nation treatment. When there is a violation of the national treatment, what does it mean? What is it? In what circumstances we have a violation of the national treatment? Or let's say that we have a bilateral investment treaty between Cambodia and state X, we don't know, whatever. And there is the national treatment, and there is the most favored nation treatment in that treaty. Under what circumstances we could see the violation of the national treatment committed by Cambodia? Okay? And in what circumstances could we say that there is a violation of the most favored nation treatment by Cambodia? What does it mean, violation of the national treatment? National treatment is there. You have to treat foreign investor as a national investor. And most favored nation treatment, you have to treat foreign investor as an other foreign investor.
I think that in case that Cambodia for national treatment, Cambodia discriminate the treatment between its own national producer and the others, foreign producer or investor. In this case, it can be considered by violation of national treatment.
Yeah, if there is discrimination and if a better treatment is given to the national producers of Cambodia, this is a violation of national treatment. and in what circumstances we will see a violation or qualify a violation of the most favored nation treatment.
Cambodia treat two foreign enterprises from two foreign countries differently in one particular sector.
Yeah. So if we have a treaty between Cambodia and state X, but if Cambodia is giving a better treatment to investors of state Y, then state X or investors from X could claim the benefit of the most favored nation treatment if this benefit is not granted to state X or investor coming from X, then this will be a violation of the most favored nation treatment. So, knowing that, why do we have more frequently violations of national treatment than violations of the most favored nation treatment?
Because logically, state tend to protect its own interests, its own SME or local producer, and then.
Yeah, that's it. Of course, is that for Cambodia or for any other country in the world, states want to protect their own industry, their own banking system, their own insurance companies, etc., etc. So when the state decides to discriminate between investors, it will most of the time be a discrimination between the national investor and the foreign investor. But for Cambodia or for any other country in the world, discriminating between investors from state A and state B has not the same symbolic signification than a violation of national treatment. So the protectionism measures, when the state tries to protect its national market, of course, a violation, or it may be a violation of the national treatment. Okay, so violations of the national treatment are quite common, but the violations of the most favored nation treatment are not that common, because a state has or may not have any interest in trying to take some more favorable measures towards one state instead of another. Okay, so the national treatment is this, and in this case, the premier de Lévis, it's a question of national treatment, but the principles that are explained here could be used in the implementation of the most favored nation treatment. So we can take a few minutes to read that, and I will after that explain the circumstances of that case. So it's René Rose Lévis is the owner or the main partner in the bank, the bank BNN, okay, first one, operating in Peru. And Peru introduced into this proceeding several facts that, in the tribunal's opinion, prove that BNN, so the bank, detained by René Rose Lévis, was not in like circumstances with Banco Vice, BCP, and Banco Latino, three national banks from Peru. BCP was the first and Banco Vice the second largest bank in Peru up to November 2000, and together they accounted for 44% of the loans in this country and 51% of deposits. In contrast, BNL, so the bank of René-Rose Levy, BNL had 4% of loans and 2% of deposits up to November 2000. These facts were not challenged by the claimant and are quite close to the figures she has presented about BNL. It was in sixth position in terms of loans granted and deposits received, seventh by the end of 1999, with a market share as of June 2000 of 4.5% for loans and 2.8% for deposits. And Peru has also stated that Banco Latino did not differ so much from BNL in terms of size, but in terms of its far-reaching network of individual depositors, which was not the case of BNL, whose clientele mainly comprised companies, other banks, and state-owned enterprises. These elements of comparison between these four banks are convincing in the opinion of the tribunal. So here it's a question of national treatment. We say that you have to compare the treatment received by several investors, okay? In that case, René-Rose Levy, you have a foreign investor, which is BNL, and you have three national investors, Banco Bizet, BCP, and Banco Latino. Okay, so this one says that those ones, the three, so this one is a foreign bank, and those ones, the three here, are nationals of Peru, okay? And this state, this foreign bank says, I've been discriminated. I haven't received the same treatment as Banco Bizet, BCP, and Banco Latino, okay? And the tribunal in that case say, okay, we have four investors in the same sector, okay? So we have four banks, okay? So as such, those four banking institutions, those four banks should receive the same treatment. Okay, so if we apply the national treatment, those four banks should receive the same treatment or the same the benefit of the same treatment. But the tribunal says that there is no legitimate basis of comparison between this one and the three other ones, because even if those four investors are operating in the bank sector, this one is only the sixth or seventh bank in Peru. Okay, but those one, Banco Bizet and BCP, are number one and number two in Peru. Okay, so of course they operate in the same sector, but you cannot compare number one and number two with number 6 or 7. And this one, the clients of the bank were mostly companies, banks, and public companies. But for Banco Latino, the clients were individuals. Okay. And what was the purpose of the case? What was the reason of the case? When the financial crisis started, Peru, as just like many other states did, tried to save the banking system. Okay, so try to save some banking institutions. So help them by lending a huge amount of money to those banks, and Peru helped those banks, but not this one. So BNM did not benefit from the plan decided by Peru to save the banking institutions in the realm of the financial crisis. So BNM said, okay, I've been discriminated. Peru did not help me to face the crisis, but Peru helped other banks which operate on the same market. So this is a violation of the national treatment. But the tribunal said that there is no violation of the national treatment because there is no legitimate basis of comparison between BNM and the three other banks. So that's what the tribunal says here. Okay. These elements of comparison between these four banks are convincing in the opinion of the tribunal. So, as the banks do not operate on the same market, because you can understand how critical it is for a state to save the first and the second bank of the country. You can understand how important it could be for this country to help the main banking institutions to face the financial crisis. And so you can discriminate in that case because the first bank, BNM, is not in like circumstances with Banco Vice, BCP, and Banco Latino. Okay? So it's not because a foreign investor and a national investor operate apparently in the same sector, on the same market, that they are in like circumstances. So this is a case concerning or regarding the national treatment, but it could be exactly the same if, let's say that if BNM were to be a French bank and the other ones were to be a bank from the United States of America or something like this. You don't have the obligation, the state does not have the obligation to grant the same treatment to every investors. It depends on the sector in which the investment has been made, and it depends on the existence of competition between this investor and other investors. And in that case, there is no competition between BNM and Banco Vice, BCP, and Banco Latino. They are all banks that they do not operate on the same market. So, as such, you can can discriminate between one bank and another. Okay? So, last element on the most favored protocol.